This AV SuperFriends Perspectives, a collection of interviews, discussions, and presentations from conferences, trade shows, and events that just don't fit either of the other two shows. Some are long, some are short, but they'll all have valuable insights, useful information, or just good conversation with thought leaders and subject matter experts. And now, the AV SuperFriends.
All right, hey everybody, we're here with Joe Cornwall, and we're going to talk a little bit about his InfoComm experience. So Joe, tell us a little about your first few days here at InfoComm. You taught a class, correct?
Mr. Rexing, of course I'm here to teach a class. It's kind of part of my DNA.
You don't do anything like that ever, do you?
No, it's always a new experience to me. But I'll tell you what, so today, this year was really rather unique. So InfoComm came and they realized that I had created a number of years ago something called the AV Signal Transport Masterclass, which is a no-holds-barred dive into how do we get a signal from here to there, what is the signal composed of, and what can go wrong when we're trying to move it. And of course, that's like half of our industry's problems right there.
Right.
Now, I share this class with Mr. Jose Mazzotta, and we get into everything. We call it peeling an onion. And literally, this is how we start. We show you kind of an onion farm, and we show you a Venn diagram. We start with AV over IP. And Jose will take you through the codecs, we'll take you through streaming technologies, we'll take you through the emerging technologies.
And this isn't just a definition class, this is deep dives,
deep
shit,
dives,
right?
That's why it's a master class.
Yeah.
Right? Seriously, if you're not very, very well versed in some of these things, you might be lost before you even get started.
Got it, okay.
But as we move through AV over IP, we start to get closer and closer to the desk, bringing you through HD Base T, and of course there's some wonderful things happening with HD Base T 3.0, HDMI 2.1, DisplayPort 2.0, and then finally, you know, my particular drug of choice, which is USB 4, USB Type-C, Thunderbolt, and then we finished up this year with a wonderful discussion of what actually is artificial intelligence and how's it going to impact AV, and the answer we came up with is right now, AI is mostly just a fancy parrot.
Yeah, and because we had dinner a few nights ago, and I think you mentioned that AI actually doesn't exist today.
Yeah, when you think about what is AI, what we're really seeing in most of these instances are instances of algorithms that are the result of machine language or machine learning, either supervised or unsupervised learning, and there's a technical meaning to both of those. But essentially what's happening is it's a mathematical algorithm that takes all of the things that you ask. It sort of uses an algorithm to say statistically you're probably asking about this, and then in the blink of an eye it looks at all of the cataloged and written material that's in the canons of AV and says, gee, this mathematically sort of looks like it could be the answer, and it'll give you that information, but keep in mind it doesn't actually know anything. There's no real intelligence there. It's a fancy parrot. It's just telling you things that somebody else said, which may or may not be accurate.
Exactly. So going back to that master's class, we're going through USB Type-C. We talked about HD Base T version 3. What's new with that? You see anything on the show floor that
actually
kind of, you know, made you think about your class and like, yeah, that's exactly what we talked about?
Actually, yeah, we did. We really went into this during the class, and it's wonderful. This was so unique because the way InfoComm did it, it's an advanced class. It's a multi-day class, the first time that we've done a 2-day class for InfoComm like this. And one of the things we started talking about is when you look at HD Base T 3.0 with its dynamic capability, each point can either transmit or receive, and it can do this, it can change in real time. Well, think about it. It does USB 2.0, it does gigabit Ethernet, it does up to 100 watts of power, and it does uncompressed video in 444 at 4K. Sounds like USB-C. So I asked Danny Schwartzberg, who's the international head of training for the HD Base T Alliance, and he said, well, come down to the HD Base T booth, and I did. And don't you know, they're actually showing how we can transport USB-C from laptops and other devices to displays sharing a common set of USB peripherals, such as a camera and microphone. It's really a lot of the functionality that we're looking for, not 100% of it, because we still have to do some docking station breakouts to make it all work, but it's actually a very elegant solution for an in-room kind of a system.
Got it. That's awesome. What else did you see out there? Well, you approached me earlier with a cable. And so talk to me a little bit about what you're seeing with cables. Is there anybody out there that's pushing the limit maybe too far with USB-C extension, or is there better ways like HD-Base-T version 3 to leverage further extensions?
So HD-Base-T is not only is it available right now, it's ideal for this, but it's not the perfect form factor. And we're looking at some other things, particularly how do I get a longer link between the laptop or other computer device and the docking station so that I can have a cable cubby in a table so that I can pull it out, right? These cables are really hard limited to about a meter.
Right.
Well, there's a company called Celerity Technologies, and Xiaolin Tong is their chief scientist. And what he's done that's really cool is he's creating a USB-C solution using VCSEL lasers that's a composite solution with copper. And I actually have in my bag a 25-foot USB-C cable that is as thin as a drinking straw, quite flexible, is fiber optic based. Don't kink it, but it's really quite flexible. But it does everything. It will charge at up to 100 watts. It will support 10 gigabits per second DisplayPort alt mode, and it will support your USB PTZ over the USB 2.0 bus pair. Now, what's important about that is happening over copper. So even if a VCSEL laser were to die during a presentation and you were using this for a camera feed, your camera would shift into compatibility mode at USB 2.0, but
Right.
it wouldn't shut off.
Right.
So what we're seeing is this idea that USB-C really might be the breakaway for us to get into composite, which is fiber and copper together in one cable. I believe even companies like FSR have something like that on the floor. I think I saw something like that in their booth as well.
So if I'm in higher education and I'm trying to extend USB-C everywhere in my room, is there anything I should be wary of when I'm shopping on the show floor, shopping online? If I see a USB-C cable on Amazon that's 15 meters or 10 feet or 12 feet, and I see in the specifications, yes, it has charging, yes, it has this, are they telling the truth, or what's the delineation there? How am I supposed to know what I'm looking at?
What a loaded question
Right.
that is. So because I'm actually retired and don't work for any company right
Yeah.
now, I get to say exactly what's on my mind.
That's what we love.
Okay, so here's the reality. You see some advertising with a longer USB-C cable on any online vendor. That is as truthful as the vendors in this building telling you that they can do 4K 444 uncompressed over a gigabit network. No, you can't. That's patently impossible. There has to be some compression somewhere for this to be able to work if you're going across a gigabit network switch. I mean,
Right.
You're just not going to get 18 gigabits across a 1 gigabit switch.
The math does not compute.
Does not compute.
Yes.
Well, the same thing is happening with these cables. So can I get a 10-foot USB-C cable? Absolutely.
Sure.
And here's what you're going to get. It will not have an EMCA, which means you can charge up to 60 watts, but you can't do anything over alt mode. You can't do anything over 480 megabits per second, which is USB 2.0.
Right.
Right? If somebody tells you, I've got a cable that's longer than that, and it's pure copper, either they found a way to change the laws of physics, they are a giant genius of the type that we've never seen before,
Right.
or, and I'm just saying this is as a maybe, they're full of
Full of shit.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
I would question it, and that brings me actually to something else that I thought was really cool here about InfoComm. One of the best sessions I just sat in was the session for marketers.
Marketing session.
Right? So on the Avixa Connect Live, they just had a 1 hour session about where all the marketers came together, and we had this same conversation. It was like, all right, is marketing really just talking about your product in a vacuum, or do marketing departments actually have to start looking at what our industry is becoming, and maybe instead of talking to their customers, put their arm around the customer's shoulder and start talking with their customers about how we're going to face the
problem
future
can we
together.
solve? Right.
What can we do together? So I'm a little excited, as you can probably tell, walking out of this InfoComm, because I'm seeing that we've made some progress. There's some cool new products. We've also not made any progress in that most of the companies
Right.
still want me to believe that 8K is somehow important to somebody.
Or now we have a
somewhere.
16K TV made for your house that can do digital signage. You see that? Yeah.
All right. Bottom line, until you have 32K, just don't come knocking on my damn door, okay? I don't want to hear it. When you get 32K video,
then
I'm
we'll
all
talk.
about it. Then
right.
we can talk. Yeah. No, it's so yeah, we're still kind of lost in the gee, let's present people with a number and maybe they can be gullible enough to buy it. But underneath that pudding, you're going to find a real solid foundation of technology. And that solid foundation of technology, from what I can see here, is really being driven by the folks that are doing networked AV in a more or less sensible manner, which is not telling us they can do 4K 444 on a gigabit network with no latency. And also looking at how can we get signals transported without crushing them completely in a way that is affordable for an installation. And we're seeing like both ends of that coming together. And then of course, add the education opportunities that we have here, and it's been a worthwhile show.
Absolutely. So let me ask this last question. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. Can anyone take your signal transport class in the future? Is Joe Cornwall going to be teaching next year? Is he coming, or are we going to have to take it online? How can I drop some knowledge on me? How can I get this?
So here's the deal. The course is actually better online simply because I have a global audience, which means that we get more people, which means we get more opinions. Keep in mind, this is kind of edge-of-the-art stuff.
Sure,
right?
Absolutely.
So it all depends on the audience to make it really great. Jose and I know what we're presenting, but it's up to the audience to give us some feedback on what else do we need to know, and how do you deploy this information?
Right.
So how can you be part of the AV Signal Transport Masterclass? We will be doing this for Avixa as an online course, likely in November, and that'll be available to anybody globally. Avixa has already tentatively extended an invitation for us to do this in Las Vegas next year. Now, I got to tell you, I'm not a real big Las Vegas kind of guy.
Yeah.
I haven't said yes.
You're in Florida.
I am in Florida.
It makes it really difficult.
And I don't actually have a job.
Yeah.
So going to Vegas has to be fun because I'm not going out there for no fun.
Exactly.
But I haven't said no. I haven't said yes. I haven't said no. There's a possibility we'll do this again in Vegas next year, but it is a sure thing that we're going to be doing it online at least once. And we're also talking about possibly doing it a second online for more of a European audience. So we're going to do it in a time slot that would matter more for our EMEA friends.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Assuming that they'll allow me to do it in English, because I have a hard enough time just speaking one language. Jose speaks 7 of them.
Yes.
He can do my translating. I'm okay with broken English.
Yeah. Well, Joe, I really appreciate you coming out here today and looking at this water and talking with us about USB Type-C and your class and signal transport and your InfoComm experience. Anything else you would like to add?
I just think that, it's actually more fun being in the AV industry after I've left the AV industry.
So you can just do whatever you want.
You're damned right I can. And
That's
I'm looking forward to coming on AV SuperFriends again.
Yes.
Where you're going to get to see what happens really inside of my mind. It's a little frightening.
Okay.
I advise us all to do it with alcohol in hand.
We might call it Unfiltered Joe and call it a whole hour episode.
I think that's a great idea.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot for coming.
Anytime, Justin. You guys have a good one.
All right, we'll see you.
Well, that wraps up another episode of AV SuperFriends Perspectives. If you have a perspective to share, you can contact us with questions, topic ideas, or general complaints at mailbag@avsuperfriends.com.
Nice work, everyone. Sharp broadcast. Really good. Everyone on the floor as well. Really a lot of hustle. I liked it.
The opinions expressed by the AV SuperFriends are solely those of the individuals and do not represent their respective institutions, organizations, companies, or clients.